And I'm gonna be honest with you, Kyle. I am recording this at 3:30 in the morning. So around this time, I just kind of slipped on the notes and just said, screw it, I'm just gonna give um, scoreline predictions. But for the next one, I am writing is for the Houston Texans versus the Baltimore Ravens. Now with quarterback Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens is returning from a holdout. It looks like the deals have been done, and they're going to work with their new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, which is going to be interesting because he does have a habit of relying more on passes than as you've been seeing in the league. Quarterbacks have now been dual threats, so mobile quarterbacks with an arm. But now he's going to have Lamar Jackson, who's arguably one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the league, probably just below Jalen Hurts and, definitely better than Kyle Murray. But definitely, but I would say, Jalen Hurts has to be up there. Josh Allen's more of a power runner as a quarterback with his size. But either way, Lamar Jackson, fast quarterback, kind of gives you Michael Vick type of style. Is going to be more used for his passing game, which is crazy to think because one of the biggest problems with the Texans was that they were flawed against the run. They were actually pretty good versus the passing game for quarterbacks. So we might see a change in adaptation from Monken and Lamar Jackson to revert back to focusing on his strengths, which is the running game. Now, the main concern for the Ravens will be the O-line, which were ranked top 5 last season. So this is going to be causing issues for the Texans. The big problem for that is 4 out of their 5 offensive line players or starters are out for the game. So Jackson is going to be on his feet, moving out of the pocket quite often, which will force Monken's hand to let Jackson just run freely. And I don't think anyone from the Texans are going to really catch up with him. And you can expect rookie Will Anderson Jr. and defensive end Jerry Hughes to be heavily involved in Houston's plans for victory to try to stop Lamar Jackson in the run game, which will be pretty hard to do. Now, Jackson will look to challenge the set Texans pass defense when considering he will have his reliable tight end, Mark Andrews, and one of the surprising signings of the season, or in the offseason, was seeing Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ, if you will, to one of his options in attack. So, unlike the Texans, their quarterback is C.J. Stroud, rookie. He will be having a lot of debuting players on his side, like their tight end defensive Dalton Schultz, wide receiver Robert Woods, and returning John Mechie III because he did miss last season due to injury. So this is his proper debut. I don't see anything else other than a Ravens win, and for this one I'm going with 24-10. But we'll see. This is another team from around my area, but so I gotta give respect to the Ravens. All right, for the Buccaneers, or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings led by Captain Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. This is a deadly duo right here. With Justin Jefferson is a quarterback's dream, and they're looking to start off the season strong, but will be tested against 2 cornerbacks from Tampa Bay who will have all the outside play covered, which are Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean. This will likely force Cousins to focus more in the passing towards the middle and short passes. And this isn't going to be a problem for him because instead of relying on Justin Jefferson, which I'm sure he'll still find ways to make big plays, but we'll be relying more on tight end T.J. Hawkinson. So if you have him on your fantasy football team, expect to have him to have a lot of catches and targets. So this will be a big plus. Now, but the Buccaneers are going to have Shaq Barrett coming back from injury, which will boost the pass rush. And when you consider him along with Vita and Devin White, this is going to be quite a problem for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings offensive line, because Cousins does have a history of folding under pressure, and this is going to be his weakness, especially if you try to get him out the pocket. Yes, he is a bit mobile, but if you're going to force a quarterback out of the pocket and you're already covering the outside and forcing him to throw across his body towards usually a clustered area in the middle of the field, you could expect a bit of a few turnovers. But like I said, we don't. It all depends on the pass protection from the Vikings. Now, both teams are going to be relying on the passing game, especially when you see the Buccaneers, and they have their own speedsters themselves on actually two as wide receivers with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. These were Tom Brady's go-to deadly weapons, and now this will be, I'm going to say, who is the quarterback for the Buccaneers? Well, anyway, actually, this is going to be another factor here too. Now that Tom Brady's gone, the Buccaneers have picked up Baker Mayfield, former Cleveland Browns, and from last year, actually, two former teams, both of which had disappointing seasons, from the Carolina Panthers to the LA Rams. So if Baker can utilize both Godwin and Mike Evans into his attack, this could be a great start for him and a start for his redemption story. But I don't think he will have this. He doesn't have the same protection like Brady did back then, except for one key offensive line player. I don't remember his name. The one thing that he does have over Brady, which not much, but is mobility, and that is mostly because of age. And Tom Brady grew up in the time and played during the time where he could be a pocket quarterback. He didn't have to be a mobile quarterback. So with that being said, even though Kirk Cousins is going to be forced on the outside, if the offensive line can't hold up, I still think that this is going to be a blowout win from the Vikings. And yeah, I just don't see Baker Mayfield having a good game. So I'm guessing a 31-14. I'll say 31-14 Vikings win. I had 31-10 originally, but I'll give a second touchdown instead of a touchdown and a field goal to the Buccaneers. But yeah, Vikings going to start off the season with the dub. All right, another rivalry here, not divisional rivalry, which you're going to see a lot of for this opening weekend, which I don't remember seeing that many of. But anyways, an interstate rivalry, the Battle of Ohio, if you will, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns. Bengals led by Joe Burrow, and the Browns led by controversial quarterback Deshaun Watson. If you haven't heard of his accusations or allegations, definitely take a look at. But it's something that I'm surprised he beat with. Anyways, the Browns having to give him a chance. I think this was because I forgot who their last quarterback was, but ended up having to be traded. But this is where Burrow will need proper protection from his own line if they want to win, because the Browns have a habit of rushing the quarterbacks efficiently, especially when they have Myles Garrett in their lineup. It's almost a guarantee. Now, but the reason why I say this is because when the Bengals have allowed 4 or more quarterback sacks, pause. The quarterback did get sacked, or Joe Burrow did get sacked for 5 times versus the Browns, which whenever the Bengals allow that many, they go on a 1-4 record from last year. And when they did that from the Browns in Week 8 in last season, they ended up winning the game. So the Bengals, if they keep Burrow protected, he'll make big plays, especially to his favorite targets, Jamar Chase, who'll be going against Denzel Ward. This will be a good matchup, but I do think Jamar Chase will come out, beating him at the end. But along with Chase, Burrow will still have T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, and Tyler Boyd, which will have to face established secondary. Unlike Watson, Watson will face, I think, more of a newer Bengals secondary. But with whatever it may be, I don't see anything but a Bengals win. It's going to be close. These rivalry games always tend to be close. But I'm guessing a 24-23 win for the Bengals. All right, now this is one of the oldest rivalries in the sports. The Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears, NFC North rivalry, now renewed with the Bears led by Justin Fields, a young dual-threat quarterback, quite mobile. He's looking to improve on a good year that he had, second year from last season, which had a poor results. I believe he ended in 3 wins, 14 losses, and the NFC North ended up in last in their division. I think one of the worst teams in the league from last year, but did have over 2,200 yards, our passing yards in the season, along with 17 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, which, if you can reduce that, otherwise says had a great year, and of course the record as well. But this new Packers as well are also having a new era. This is the post Aaron Rodgers era. So hard to believe, but now they're going to be led by Jordan Love, who has been with this Packers team for quite a while, learning under Rodgers and learning the system, and he's going to be leading a relatively young Packers offense with the receivers a lot of them are second-year players, with Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, both of which are questionable to play. So we'll see what that's going to be like when you get closer to the weekend. But also with rookie Jalen Reed and the rookie tight end Luke Musgrave. These are all going to be options for Jordan Love and could possibly be a liability. It is going to be at Soldier Field, and one thing I would say, for those who are not unfamiliar, Soldier Field is a tough and hostile environment, especially when it comes to the Packers. Bears fans, they let you know. They let you know, and I would say it's probably up there with Packers versus Vikings. But you know what? When you have these three teams in the same division, it's going to be a hostile threat, whoever the away side is. But anyways, the Bears are facing that young offense with their own youthful defense. They do have Kyler Walker and Eddie Jackson, both expected to have good seasons this year. So this could be a good test for them if they are going to go against Watson and Dobbs. But if they're going to go against their backups, they're going to be comfortable. Now, the inexperience in the defense that had problems versus the run game could be costly, especially when they're facing the running backs Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. If you have either one of these guys, I would probably say more with Aaron Jones to have good games or to get a lot of points for your fantasy team. Definitely do so. And I think they're both going to have quite an impact for the matchup. But the main matchup will be the Bears run game with Khalil Herbert and Donta Foreman versus the Packers run defense, which is going to be led by Preston Smith and Devontae Wyatt on the defensive end side. Now, my prediction is going to be more based on if Watson and Dobbs are out. If they're in, I do see maybe this game going to overtime. But if they are out, or even if one is out, I'm going to edge it to the Bears. and say it's going to be a 20-17 win. But we'll see. You know, with these division rivalries, it can go either way. And going on to the next game, I do see it is the Arizona Cardinals going to face my team, the Washington Commanders. And this is such, you know what, this is eerily similar to what my football team is going through right now. It's under new ownership. The one big difference is that no one was happy with the previous regime in Dan Snyder. And if you want, Kyle, look up all the stuff from Dan Snyder, Washington Commanders, or Redskins, which just be careful because, you know, you get some people very sensitive about that word, and with good, proper reason. But this is a new era for the Commanders, a new ownership, new quarterback in Sam Howell, new starting quarterback. He was there for last season, replacing Tyler Heineke, who is now part of, I want to say, Atlanta Falcons. He is their backup quarterback. And now the Commanders are using Sam Howell, 5th-round draft pick from, I believe, last season to start. He did finish the season on a high last year, which was good. And this is going to continue with his confidence going against a struggling Cardinals defense, and they're going to be without their own starting quarterback in Kyler Murray, I believe, due to a knee injury. So they are going to rely on, I believe, the quarterback that's going to be the starting for the Cardinals is Joshua Dobbs. Not really all that hopeful for them, especially when you consider the Commanders' defense, one of the best in the league, with the front seven is led by, let me see here with all the names. The Commanders' defensive line of Sweat, Payne. These are names of the players. Deron Payne, Montez Sweat, Chase Young coming back after suffering a horrific knee injury. Had to miss all of last season, but he's going to come back hungrier than ever. And last but not least, Jonathan Allen. These four are going to give Dobbs and the rest of the Cardinals a headache in this weekend's game. So you would expect quick release passes from Dobbs to their tight end, Zach Ertz, former Eagles tight end, and also a new acquisition in Marquise Brown, or Hollywood Brown as they call him in the league. But the Cardinals defense is in the secondary. It's a bit flawed, as well as giving up a lot of completion percentage, or they gave up a lot of high completion percentage last season. But they are going to be led by Pro Bowler Buda Baker, who's, a good good player in the secondary, I should say, and Marco Wilson. So there's going to be a bit of a combative matchup between Marco Wilson and Commanders' #1 wide receiver, Terry McLaurin. Bit of a speedster, and he's going to be Sam Howell's go-to guy for the season, as long as they stay healthy. So the Cardinals, with the lack of a pass rush, because they're also without their star defensive player, J.J. Watt, and a rush defense looking below par. And also, this is a debut for, they have a new head coach in Jonathan Gannon. I'm expecting the Commanders to run with this, and I was a little bit generous on the Cardinals side, so I'm going to predict a 24-14 victory from the Commanders if they take advantage of their chances. I'm not sure where the 14 didn't really come from the Cardinals, but giving at least one touchdown. Maybe you should say 24-10, but I'll just say 14 just to be safe. Either way, Commanders win. Okay, this game just looks like America. Like this, the sport and the team names just scream America. It is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New England Patriots. The NFC champions, Philly Eagles, led by who I think is going to be the NFC Player of the Year, Jalen Hurts, versus this Eagles team that just looks unreal. But they are going to go against the Patriots team led by Mac Jones and their new offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, who does have a history with the Patriots, so this could be a big boost for them. Now, Mac Jones will be looking for his new wide receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, one of Tom Brady's weapons as well, but I think he was also in the Kansas City Chiefs last season. And they are going to have a proven running back, which I wasn't even familiar with this. I'm not sure if it was a trade or just picked him up from free agency, but former Cowboy running back Ezekiel Elliott is going to be part of this New England Patriots side. So when you have Jones, Juju Smith-Schuster, Ezekiel Elliott, you're in for a good game. Now, the one thing you will want is to keep an eye on with the Eagles receivers versus it's just crazy because not only do they have Mac Jones as quarterback, but then they have a secondary full of Joneses. I think all that's cornerbacks as well. You got Jack Jones, Marcus Jones, and Jonathan Jones. And they're going to be going against the likes of this Eagles side with receivers. I believe they have, when you go against A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they have a new receiver as well, and I'm going to butcher his name, Olamide Zaccheaus. I think he was a former Atlanta Falcon, which was a good pickup because he did have a good season. The matchup to watch is going to be the Patriots' run defense versus DeAndre Swift, a running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was obtained by from the Lions, and also Jalen Hurts, another like I mentioned earlier, the dual threat quarterback, mobile as hell, but with an arm and accuracy like no other. He's comfortable out of the pocket, and he can also use this. Let me see here, DeAndre Swift. If they were to go to a play option, which start off with the quarterback sneaking off to the right or to the left, and having the running back as a pitch option. So with this being said, this can cause problems for the Patriots. I am gonna say that with that being said, the run is going to be strong. It's going to be a strong suit, especially with Matthew Judon. And because one thing is with the Patriots, even though they weren't the best with the secondary or pass defense, they were quite well in versus the run defense or the run game. So with Matthew Judon, this can be a big problem for the Eagles' plans, and it's probably to keep Jalen Hurts more in the pocket and more relying on his arm than his legs. Either way, I'm still predicting an Eagles win, 27-17. And for an NFC South rivalry, it's going to be introduced to Bryce Young, and this is for the Carolina Panthers and Atlanta Falcons matchup. So Bryce Young, quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, was looking to face one of the worst defenses from last year in the Atlanta Falcons. They have made additions to their defense, like defensive tackle Calais Campbell, outside linebacker Bud Dupree, and linebacker Caden Ellis, both joining Grady Barrett to this improved Falcons front seven, along with safety Jesse Bates and cornerback Jeff Okuda. They're just going to be helping the secondary, which would be needed to the matchup against wide receiver Adam Thielen, or former Minnesota Vikings player. Now, he is questionable, so this could be a big loss if the Falcons do not have him, or if the Panthers don't have him. Sorry about that. And the front seven for the Falcons are going to be looking to stop Miles Sanders, which was a big addition for the Panthers. Now, the Falcons defense may be poor last season, but their offense has looked great with the run game, led by Cordell Patterson and Tyler Algier. And now they brought in rookie Bijan Robinson. So this is a three-headed beast right here that could cause the Falcons front seven some issues, or like I said, at least their defensive line. For the Panthers. So let's see if a Falcons quarterback, Desmond Ridder, is now the official starting quarterback with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and the rookie Mac Hollins, all are going to give Raiders some help as options in the wide receivers and tight end department, and they're going to rely on the running backs to win. As much as these are good receiver options, their strong suit is the running game, and Cordell Patterson and Tyler Algier had strong seasons last year. So I'm predicting for them to be really involved, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be like a 14-6 game. Not that much of a high score. I know in football, this, or out of context, 14-6 looks like a lot of points. Really, it isn't. So if Tyleen, or if Adam Thielen is out along with 3 of the 4 wide receivers, yeah, I don't see the Panthers really scoring anything other than a couple of field goals. But if they all play, maybe it could be a bit closer. And I could bring it to 14-13 maybe. So yeah, not to kind of cut down on the Panthers, but when you have 3 of your 4 receivers out and you have a young quarterback, it just doesn't say much, and especially unless you're going to try to use Miles Sanders more often than needed. Well, let's see if the Falcons can keep me to my word. Now, for the San Francisco 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 49ers have looked solid, especially in defense, where they look to rely on their Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa, along with Javon Hargrave and Talanoa Hufanga, pressuring the quarterback, Kenny Pickett. I think this is going to be his rookie season as well, which will likely have the Steelers to rely on the running game from running back Najee Harris. It's not the ideal game for an experienced quarterback like Pickett to start the season, but he's going to rely on his receiver George Pickens as his go-to pass option, I believe. Now, the 49ers are going to be without Brock Purdy. For me, he's not really the real deal, but this is a team that, when you have the likes of Deebo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell, and Christian McCaffrey as your running back options, it doesn't matter. You can put me as the quarterback out. You just had to hand off the ball. I think we'll be fine. Now, and like I said, Kyle, this is where my nose started to get just kind of just because I'm trying to write something down. But with this, the Steelers' player to watch for this game is going to be Patrick Peterson. I think this will be a player that will try to be a flaw for the 49ers. I believe he is a defensive player in the secondary. But either way, I'm expecting the Niners to win 28-7. Either way, Pittsburgh Steelers, you and your fan base suck. Now for the Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos. AFC West matchup, which is going to be good to see. Now the Broncos are with their new head coach, and what a head coach he is, despite it's kind of hard not to say Sean Payton and not think of the New Orleans Saints bounty gate that he had set up over there. But regardless, this man is a wizard as a coach. Now he's going to have a returning Russell Wilson, looking back healthy, look to face the Raiders defense with a number of new starters, but their secondary is the best part of their defense. So that's going to be a big test for Russell Wilson. Now the Raiders are going to be looking for their new veteran quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. So he's going to go against Jimmy Garoppolo, a former 49ers quarterback. He's going to be ideal to lead and connect with Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, and Austin Hooper. Austin Hooper, yes, you can see him as probably as a downgrade to Darren Waller, who is now part of the New York Giants. But either way, these are all options that are just beautiful for a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo to have. Now, being that it's at Mile High Stadium, the home of the Denver Broncos, it's for me, it's tough to not choose the Denver Broncos. I know they're going to be without Jerry Jeudy, but this will be a close one, and say it's Denver wins 24-21. All right, now we have a AFC South matchup with the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence looks to continue to make the Colts' lives miserable after last season. He played well in both games, but left with 1 win, 1 loss. But the win was a shutout, which was crazy to see. And then this could continue with the Colts. With their secondary got worse, with losing Stephon Gilmore to, I want to say he went to the Cowboys. So either way, whether he's in the Cowboys or a different team, he's just not in the Colts. So you can expect wide receiver Evan Engram from Jacksonville and Christian Kirk to have a good game, especially versus Ronnie Thomas and the Colts secondary, which Calvin Ridley is going to come back from injury, and it looks like the Colts will need the outside pass rushers and defensive ends to stop Lawrence and the Jags run game. So the Colts are going to be led by quarterback Anthony Richardson, who will have an interesting debut, being looked at as the Colts version of Trevor Lawrence, because Trevor Lawrence, when he first joined from college to Jacksonville, he was looked at as like the new franchise quarterback, the future. They just got to give him time and build a team around him. This is going to be interesting to see. But not to put too much pressure on Richardson already. His O-line will have a busy day trying to keep him safe when they're going against the likes of Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. That being said, I'm guessing for Jaguars win 27-7. But yeah, maybe I'm not giving the Colts enough credit, but Richardson, from what I've seen in the preseason, nothing too great, and we'll see if. And I'm not changing the Jaguars score. 27 is what's going to be, or if not more. That secondary was just awful last year, and when you lose your best player, that's going to be. And didn't even replace him correctly. So yeah, this defense got worse. All right, now for the matchup that I wasn't really all too excited about for this week, which is the Tennessee Titans versus New Orleans Saints. Now, New Orleans does have a debut in quarterback in Derek Carr. He's a former Las Vegas Raiders quarterback, so it's a good acquisition. Now he's going to look to exploit a weak Titans secondary and pass defense, especially with Carr having the likes of Michael Thomas and tight end Juwan Johnson. The one thing that Derek Carr and New Orleans have to hope for is that their offensive line has improved since last year, which they were ranked 28th. Out of 32 teams, yeah, you could already put that together. That's not really all that good. But Titans are looking to rely on their powerhouse running back, Derrick Henry or King Henry here, so he likes to be called. Now the Saints would hope that Demario Davis can stop him. Now, trying to stop Derrick Henry is like trying to stop like a like a big truck going downhill, and you're trying to go face it. It's not gonna work. But you never know. And not only that, but they still have Ryan Tannehill for a quarterback, and one thing that does make this Tennessee Titans team a little bit more of a worry is that they have the likes of DeAndre Hopkins to their arsenal, which I still don't think is going to be enough to stop New Orleans. Like I said, if their O-line really has improved, which I'm not too sure if they have or not, I do see them winning, I'm going to say 20-17. To be close, just not too sure if how well this Tennessee secondary has improved themselves. All right, now we have the LA Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks, an NFC West rivalry that's going to be having Geno Smith Seattle Seahawks quarterback and head coach Pete Carroll, looking for their first home game of the season. And now Geno Smith will be back with his wide receiver or his receiver DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and now adding to that rookie Jackson Smith Nigba. That is such a look. DK Metcalf is already, he's almost inhuman, and now you're gonna have these other two options with, Tyler Lockett's already been a go-to option for Geno Smith and even for Russell Wilson at the time. So seeing this is just going to be just magic. And then you're going to also see that even though the Rams secondary was not up to par last season, they will be in good hands with Aaron Donald, arguably their best player. Actually, I think it's unanimous now, especially that Jalen Ramsey is gone. Is now with Aaron Donald, the way he can help the secondary is by putting that pressure onto the offensive line for the Seahawks, and to have Geno Smith rush. Now the thing is, Geno Smith also another mobile quarterback, but his receivers are just they'll find space. They'll get there. You just need to give Geno Smith just a little bit of time. Nothing too crazy, but. That being said, the Rams defense might be questionable, but their offense looks great. They're like a real threat. Again, the big thing is that if Cooper Kupp, their best offensive option, especially in the passing game, he is questionable. But if he plays, perfect. If not, they're gonna have to rely on Tutu Atwell to be their number one receiver. And then also, they still have tight end Tyler Higbee, who is also a go-to option for the quarterback Matthew Stafford. Now, Seattle Seahawks linebacker Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks are going to look to stop running back Cam Akers from the Rams. And the Rams run game, which doesn't look too bad, but when you have Bobby Wagner, or when you're going to face Bobby Wagner, it's not going to lie. And not only that, but you're looking at Seattle at home, the 12th man at that stadium, division rivalry, the home opener. I'm going to have to go with Seattle, and I'm going to pick a 28-21 win. So, yeah, let's see if this goes correctly. And finally, the last game of the week, the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets, a New York State rivalry, which is going to be interesting to see Aaron Rodgers take part of as he's debuting for the New York Jets after leaving the Green Bay Packers, and having a 26 touchdown, 12 interception season with the Packers before leaving. He's going against a Buffalo defense that was ranked 5th best overall in yards per attempt, and 9th best in passing touchdowns allowed, and 4th best rush yards allowed. This Bills team is no joke. Rodgers and Rookie Offensive Player of the Year Garrett Wilson will be expected to be a deadly duo for this Jets side. But Jets side has also, if you look at them and look at the players that they have obtained, are a lot of Aaron Rodgers' former teammates back in at Green Bay. So it's just a different shade of green and without the yellow, I guess. But Aaron Rodgers is starting a new chapter in his life in his career. And not only that, speaking of the old Packer days, they've actually added a former rival's running back in Minnesota Vikings, Dalvin Cook, who rushed for over 1,100 yards last season, almost reached 1,200, and made 4.4 yards per carry, which is insane. Definitely above average to the running weapons, along with Breece Hall coming back from injury. Now, last year, Pro Bowler in quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, 7th best quarterback especially considering yards last year, is going to lead this Buffalo side to New York City, along with his reliable receiver Stephon Diggs. And not only that, but Buffalo does have Defensive Rookie of the Year in cornerback Sauce Gardner, Trust me, if you haven't detected that, like a lot of these names were just crazy to say out loud. Yeah, I know. I got said C.D. Lamb. I said some guy named Sauce Garner. It's it's one thing I love about the NFL. Anyways, arguably this is going to be the matchup of the week, with Stephon Diggs going against Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner, it does play for the Jets. I think I said that he plays for Buffalo. No. So it's going to be receiver Stephon Diggs from Buffalo versus Sauce Gardner, Jets. This is going to be an interesting matchup. I'm going to be looking forward to this matchup, as well as Buffalo's run game with James Cook looking to go against the Jets' run defense led by C.J. Mosley and Quincy Williams. This game could be a bit of a toss-up. Monday Night Football, the pressure's on for that, but I'm going to say that the Bills just edged, and then, the script is going to go for Rodgers, but I'm just going to guess Bills win 27-24, and that's going to end up, or wrap up all my predictions for the week. So if it does happen to get cut off right now, so just want to say, Kyle, thank you for having me on again, and I look forward to doing this for week 2, if you are planning to do week 2. So yeah, and hopefully I can be doing a live stream with you this time. And if you're doing shout outs, I'll just do a quick shout out for my channel, which is the Out of Time Podcast, Chelsea-based football channel, but of course I love to talk about everyone and anyone else, as his clubs. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to Kyle's channel. And yeah, it's been real. Peace. Now, one of the big matchups for the weekend, Sunday Night Football game, the Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants, and NFC East rivalry is renewed with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys with their new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer. Now, their offense has always looked as terrifying as they have, but they just keep adding weapons. They have now added Brandon Cooks to the receiving options, to an already stacked attack, which involves C.D. Lamb, Michael Gallup. This team just doesn't. They just keep feeding Dak Prescott like just the craziest receiver options, and they're going to keep the Giants rookie cornerbacks busy all day, and that's not even including their run offense from the Cowboys with Tony Pollard. Now that Zeke Elliott is gone, Tony Pollard is going to be their go-to running back, and you expect a big game from him. Now the Giants come with Daniel Jones at quarterback and their running back Saquon Barkley, who will take advantage of the Cowboys' defense that has problems versus the run. Now the Giants need to take this in consideration, since Daniel Jones will be going against defensive Player of the Year nominee Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, arguably two of the best defensive players in all of the league, and especially for Parsons. I mean, he was a nominee for Defensive Player of the Year, just missed out to it from Nick Bosa. The game can be determined by the Cowboys' offensive line versus the Giants' defensive line, especially with when the Giants' defensive line, you have Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari leading the way. But ultimately, I don't think the Giants made enough O-line improvements after ranking 27th for quarterback sacks. So, with that being said, Daniel Jones is going to be really busy outside the pocket as well. And every year the Cowboys just seem like they have an all-star team. Like, this is an all-star team, and they just capitulate when it comes to the playoffs. But they are definitely going to start off strong this season, and I'm predicting a 35-20 win by the Cowboys, which pains me to say, but I got to keep it real.